Hey everybody, it's Angie and welcome to Hot and Flashy. In today's Foundation Friday for over 50s, we are going to be taking a look at Natasha Denona Transformatte Pore Vanishing Matte Foundation. This retails for $45 for 0.94 ounces and comes in 35 shades. This is supposed to be a medium to full coverage, modern matte finish foundation that is good for all skin types, including sensitive, dry, and oily. It is supposed to blur pores, smooth texture, and stay all day. So I've already worn this 3 days. Today is the 4th day, and so we're going to put it to a very thorough testing on more mature, less than perfect skin. So if you like this kind of foundation review, give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. So I wanted to put this video up for you guys today because today also happens to be the start of VIBs and Beauty Insiders being able to shop the Sephora Customer Appreciation event, because I had picked this up last week when Rouge shoppers were able to shop for the 20% off. So I got this and a bunch of other stuff. So I wanted to get this review out there for you guys so that you could see how it really performs over a few days and decide if you wanted to get it at that discount. So if you're interested in seeing my top picks and what I got last week when it was open to Rouge, I'll pop that video right up here underneath the eye so you can hop over and take a look at that. All right, so let's get into it. The foundation is housed in a plastic squeezy tube with a pump dispenser. The ingredients in this one are mainly water, isodicane, and silicone. That's the base. It also contains a little bit of alcohol. It's 17th on the ingredient list, so nothing that is really going to dry out your skin. And it also does contain fragrance. It does have botanical extracts that can be antioxidants, but are mainly in there as preservatives. And this is a cruelty-free brand. I picked this up in 2 colors. I got 35R light medium red and 40N light medium neutral. I've used the neutral a couple times on its own. Well, I think it was a fairly good color match. I think it was a little bit orangey on my skin tone, but the 35R was a little bit too gray on me, so I couldn't ever wear the 35R on its own. So for today, I did mix them together, 1 pump of 40N and a 1/4 of a pump of 35R, and that has given me just the right color. For application, Natasha Denona recommends applying on top of their Magic Primer Anti-Shine Flawless Face Base with a makeup brush for a flawless look. So the first day I wore this foundation was the day that I recorded my Sephora video, and I put it on and it looked so nice in the video. I thought it was really smoothing on my pores. Unfortunately, I didn't come back to the camera later on in the day, but I do remember that I went out that night. I thought it still looked good, and so I was pretty happy with it on the first day of wearing. So then the second time that I wore it, I used my Make Prem UV Defense Me Fluid Sunscreen. I used no primer on one side of my face and the Natasha Denona Magic Primer on the other side. For a matte foundation, I thought that the formula was surprisingly liquidy and had a nice texture. I used a Beauty Blender sponge on the primer side, and I used a Morphe brush on the non-primer side. Dotting it around my face and using the sponge, it seemed to stay where I put it and not spread very easily. As you can see, there's a patch on my jaw that I managed to miss with the foundation, and it didn't really give me a seamless kind of coverage. Spreading and blending it with the brush was much more seamless. Both were fairly easy to apply though. Using about 1.5 to 2 pumps, the foundation color corrects well. It disguises redness and age spots with medium coverage. My pores weren't vanished, but I have to say they do look minimized. The primer side looks more matte to me, so my pores were more minimized on that side in general, but I'm not sure about that Natasha Denona primer. I used it under my eye as well, and my under eye concealer would not stick to it, so I have no coverage under that eye, and it's making the foundation look really funky by the side of my nose, and it left little pinprick holes where it didn't fill my pores. The finish is a nice satin matte. It's not a dry looking flat matte. All right, makeup is done. Today I'm wearing the Anastasia Norvina palette on my eyes. I'm also trying the Wander Beauty Unleashed mascara. I'm going to give that a shot today. I'm wearing the Butter Bronzer Dandelion Blush from Benefit. I set with It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores powder, but only under my eyes. I didn't set the rest of it because it is a good matte enough finish that I think it's not going to need setting for now. Oh, the lippy is this new Buxom Pillow Pout Creamy Plumping Lip Powder, topped with the Buxom Full On Lip Cream in Hot Toddy. At the 5-hour check-in, I really liked the side without the primer, but I was really hating the side with the primer. So on the primer side, the foundation was wearing off so much more quickly. I mean, it just was sliding around and had gotten patchy and it just looked gross. On the no primer side though, the wear was much, much better. It was starting to look a little bit shiny, like right by the side of my nose and on my chin. It didn't settle into pores, and it only settled into wrinkles on my forehead slightly, but it didn't crack in them and make them look more obvious. At the 10-hour check-in, I was looking pretty shiny and pretty oily, so it didn't control shine or oil all day. As it mixed with my oils, it started looking and feeling pretty heavy and coming off on my fingertips and underneath my fingernails. The side without the primer actually wore pretty well and wasn't very worn off for 10 hours, but the primer side looks really funky and really patchy and was a hot mess. So for the second day, I switched up my sunscreen to my favorite combo of Australian Gold and Hydropeptide. I didn't use any primer because the Natasha Denona one was such a fail the day before, and I applied it with a brush. Looking at the side by side, my face definitely looks more matte than it did without makeup, and my pores look minimized, although not completely vanished. I used one pump of the foundation today, which gave a light medium coverage. I set my T-zone with Kat Von D Locket Powder just to see if I could keep that shine from coming back later in the day. So at the 5-hour check-in, I thought it looked just okay. It was starting to get shiny around my nose and chin and was wearing off slightly in those areas. The rest of my face actually looked pretty good. It wasn't settled into wrinkles or pores on that day, and it didn't look heavy and makeup-y either. At the 10-hour check-in, it was more shiny, more worn off. It wasn't awful, it wasn't great. Wearing it the 2 days, it didn't feel drying, it never looked cakey. It does start to accentuate texture as your oils come through. But where it wasn't drying at all, I think that this might be a pretty good one for people with drier skin. All right, so for today, which is the 4th day that I've worn it, I'm wearing my favorite Make Prem UV Defense Me Fluid Sunscreen underneath. I really like that one because it seems to like glue my makeup into place. Then I switched up and used the Hourglass Mineral Veil primer underneath because that is a water, isodocane, and silicone mix, so it should play very nicely with this one. But we'll see. I will still come back for the 5-hour and 10-hour check-in. So at this point, I have had the makeup on for probably about an hour. It's 12:04 right now. I'm going out to meet a friend of mine for lunch, so we'll see what she thinks of it. But let's go ahead and do the phone test, the flash test, and I will run outside quickly before I dash off to lunch to do the outdoor lighting and the kitchen overhead lighting test. So okay, let's start with the phone test because I'm sitting here, nice sparkly clean phone glass. I don't really actually have high hopes for this phone test because, as I said, it was coming off on my fingers all day and under my fingernails. Elapsed time 10 seconds or so. I would have to say that that is a fail on the phone test. All right, let me do the flash photography test. Well, I think it looks really good. It's very smoothing to the skin in the picture. I'd say it does give a little bit of flashback because my face is a little bit whiter than my chest. Here it is in the kitchen light for right now. I actually think it looks really good in the kitchen light. It's much more matte. It doesn't reflect as much light when there aren't lights shining directly on it like there are like in the studio or when I'm outside in the super bright sunshine. Whew. All right, you guys, we're having a heat wave this week here in New England. It is going to be, I think, 94 degrees as the actual temperature, but the feels like temperature is more closer to 100. So can anyone tell me why black dogs love to sit out in the sun? Are you ready? I wanted to show you this cute dress that I have on today. It is the prettiest summertime dress. I absolutely love it, and it's on sale. It's 40% off. All right, you guys, I am back for the 5-hour check-in. It is 5:15 now. I have had a fun day out to lunch with my friend, did a little shopping, sat in my hot car waiting for the air conditioning to come on, filmed a couple of Insta stories, played with the dog. So I was outside in the super hot heat for quite a bit of time today, and I think that the foundation is holding up pretty well in general. You know, I think from a conversational distance it looks really good. My friend who I had lunch with said it looked really nice and that it had a nice kind of satin matte finish, that it was reflecting light in the right places, and that it looked really pretty. So that was nice to hear. Looking at it in my up-close mirror, I feel like it still looks pretty darn good. Like it's not really worn off at this point, and today is definitely the hottest of the days that I've worn it. I think that it's working better with the Hourglass primer and with this sunscreen than it had with the other things that I tried it with. It is like, you know, wearing the tiniest bit over here and getting a little shiny in here. It's a little bit more luminous, more like a satin, you know, light dewy finish right up here and on my chin. So, you know, when I'm sitting here with lights that are reflecting right off of it, it does look a little bit shinier in these areas, but I don't think that my pores and texture look bad. I mean, when I see myself in a mirror in this, the first thing I see is never my pores and texture, which in other foundations that I'm testing that they really accentuate pores and texture, it's like the first thing I see when I look in the mirror. So it's kind of swaying my opinion of it, where the first day was kind of a rough ride on the one side of my face because of the Natasha Denona Oh So Not Magical primer. Why do people call products magic? I mean, come on. Anyway, not magic. But the other side was good, and so I think, you know, over the 4 days that I've worn it, the vast majority of the time that I have worn it, it has looked really, really good. All right, so that's it for the 5-hour check-in. I will see you in another 5 hours. Here we are at the 10-hour check-in on the Natasha Denona Transformatte foundation, and final thoughts. So for 10 hours of wear, I think the wear on this is actually really good. I feel like it's not sliding around. I'm not red around my nose and my chin and my forehead like I usually am at this time. It is super hot out, and I've been outside a lot today. Like I sat outside, I got hot and I got sweaty, and so to have this like be this oil controlling on such a hot day, I think is actually quite good. So it really didn't settle into any of my wrinkles today. I usually get settling right up here in these like little wrinkles, so no settling in there, no settling in pores or anything. As I'm saying, the only places that it's getting a little bit shiny is like right around here by the sides of my nose, a little bit on my upper lip, chin. It's not even really that shiny. And the rest of me is nice and matte. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out to you guys is I had my sunglasses on for like 2 hours today. This is the best I've ever seen with like not coming off on the pads of my sunglasses. I don't know if it's the primer, if it's that Hourglass primer is just that amazing, or if it's the foundation, but I'm happy with it anyway. So definitely whatever you put on underneath this foundation affects the wear of it. So, you know, if you own it and you've been struggling with it, try it with the Hourglass if you have that, because that seems to really be working well and making this, like elevating this into a really good foundation. Whereas if I hadn't tried the Hourglass with it today, I probably would have said that it was okay, not great, not an epic fail, you know, nothing to write home about, but today I really, really liked it. So let's go over the pros and cons. The pros on this one are that it is easy to apply with a brush. It offers medium buildable coverage. It is pore minimizing. It has a nice satin matte finish. It's not flat or dry looking. It is pretty long wearing depending on what you wear with it. It doesn't settle into pores. In general, it didn't really settle into wrinkles. It doesn't crack or break up on the surface. It's very smooth coverage. It was comfortable and non-drying to wear. It photographs beautifully, kind of like a little bit of a blurring filter, and it doesn't look dry or cakey. So the cons on this one were that it can look a little bit like makeup on the skin, but it looks like nice looking makeup. It doesn't stay matte all day. You definitely, if you're a little bit oily in the T-zone, if you're oily all over, your oils will break through. It does transfer though to phones, your fingers, and underneath your fingernails, but oddly enough, doesn't transfer to glasses pads, which is weird. So the verdict on this one is that it is a really pretty nice foundation that actually can be smoothing if you have some texture on your skin, but you need the right things with it to make sure you apply it right. It's not making it into holy grail territory or knocking my Chanel Perfection Lumiere Velvet off the pedestal. I'm going to continue to wear this one into the fall and see if when it's less hot and humid, if this one is even better. But I think it's definitely worth a shot. So if you wanted to try it and were curious about it, I would definitely give it a try during the Sephora VIB event, if that is still going on. So that's my full review on the Natasha Denona Transformatte Pore Vanishing Foundation. I hope you found the video helpful and informative. So thanks everybody for your time. You know, I always appreciate your watching. So have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.